and Mark, thank you so much for your kind words and for the work that each of you does for myeloma patients everywhere at the MMRF and at Celgene. Thank you all for coming here tonight to support the MMRF, and to my wonderful family and friends who are here. I really appreciate your also being here for me tonight. 2 years ago, I accepted this award on behalf of my mother, Geraldine Ferraro. She had just passed away. And it seemed like a particularly fitting honor, as I believe she embodied the spirit of hope that Mark talked about throughout her life, in every battle she took on, with multiple myeloma being her last one. At that time, it never occurred to me that I too would receive this award. So receiving it's particularly meaningful to me on a number of different levels. Sharing something special with my mother, who I miss every day, but also as a longtime board member, as a family member of a myeloma patient, and now as a cancer patient myself. As MMRF supporters, you're now all investors in the organization. So I'll first speak in my fiduciary capacity. I've served on a number of nonprofit boards for many years and even ran one myself. And I can tell you that I have never seen a nonprofit run as well or have as much impact as the MMRF. It's run like a Fortune 500 company with metrics and a results-oriented approach, never losing sight of the goals of finding a cure for multiple myeloma, and until one is found, as Mark said, finding treatments to turn the disease into a chronic one. I've watched the organization grow from virtually nothing to one that's raised more than $225 million to date. And notably, 90% of that has gone to research and programming, which is pretty unusual. As a direct result, as Anne mentioned, there are 6 new drugs for myeloma that did not exist prior to the MMRF's investment in them. And these new treatments have in turn more than doubled the prognosis for myeloma patients, providing hope and extending lives for many, many years. And there are more in the pipeline. I'm truly humbled to be associated with an organization that is so good at what it does that it's now considered the model for other research organizations. As a family member of a myeloma patient, I had originally contacted the MMRF to find out who the leading myeloma doctors were and what the latest developments treating the disease were. What could be done to help my mother in her battle against myeloma? The MMRF provided that to me then and continues to provide that critical information for patients and their families everywhere. Later, in joining the board, I wanted to help the MMRF increase the amount of myeloma research being conducted and ensure that the best research was being funded in the most efficient manner, all in order to speed up the process for finding treatments and a cure, knowing that everything was being done that could be done and that it was being done as well and as quickly as possible, provided tremendous comfort and hope to me as a family member and to my mother as a patient. That being said, it was only when I myself was diagnosed with breast cancer just 3 months ago that I gained much greater insight into what my mother had faced. Despite thinking that I was there every step along the way of her illness, when I found a lump in my breast and then was told it was malignant, for the first time, I truly understood what she must have felt, and I imagine everyone given a cancer diagnosis feels, at least initially. Is this curable? Is this treatable? I'm too young. Having been involved in my mother's care, having watched how she dealt with her illness and really any adversity throughout her life, and having learned through my involvement with the MMRF, I knew immediately what I needed to do for myself, and I did so. I quickly researched the leading institutions and doctors specializing in my disease and the recommended courses of treatment. I then picked my doctors and scheduled surgery, all within a 2.5-week period of time. My course of action was so clear and straightforward due to the fact that breast cancer is very common and very treatable if caught early, which mine was, luckily. and because there are great institutions and specialists throughout the country, let alone here in New York City, following very standard treatment protocols. Now, I don't mean to minimize the risks associated with breast cancer or the physical or psychological challenges associated with dealing with major surgery, but I realized just how fortunate I was to only need to proceed through my surgery and treatment in order to rid myself of the disease. In that realization, I understood with even greater urgency the need to provide the same for patients with multiple myeloma. Becoming a patient myself also highlighted to me the importance of humor in coping with illness and difficult circumstances, which is what this event is clearly all about and emphasizes. I remember my mother saying that the good news about her steroid treatments were that they got rid of all her wrinkles. I found myself saying to family and friends things like, well, at least there's one part of my body that won't sag with age. If you can maintain some humor, you're signaling both to yourself and to those that love you that you can deal with the situation, and that helps everyone cope. A year before my mother died, I interviewed her for the documentary that I recently completed about her. It's called Geraldine Furrow, Paving the Way, and I hope you'll all see it when it comes out. In that interview, she said, "I've always had a drive to use whatever position I'm in, not only for me personally and my family, but for things I care about. I've always said, if you can't make it better for the next person, why are you there?" Not surprisingly, I agree. If I've been able to provide some hope to others by my work with the MMRF, of bringing awareness to the disease by publicizing my mother's story and her lessons for dealing with life and the disease, or if I've served some way as an example myself, particularly to my children, of how to manage when faced with adversity, then I will feel like I've begun to answer her question of why are you there? I'm very proud to have worked with the MMRF these past 13 years, and I'm truly honored to accept this award here tonight. Thank you.